Love has always been a strange thing. It doesn't always come when you're ready. Sometimes it finds you in the most impossible moments. In a borrowed name, in a stolen face, and in the heart of someone who should have never met you. In the quiet town of Marvel, surrounded by roses and secrets, two women's fates were about to collide. One lived behind silk curtains, adored but lonely. The other hid beneath bandages, forgotten by the world, but remembered by pain. And when destiny decided to switch their paths, what was meant to destroy them became the reason they learned to love. The morning sun spilled gently through the tall windows of the Beaumont Manor, touching every petal of the blooming garden. Inside, Evelyn Beaumont, the only daughter of a noble family, stood before the mirror in her crimson gown, her reflection glowing with grace, but her eyes heavy with something unspoken. She was beautiful, yes, but beauty meant nothing when your heart was empty. Every day felt like a play, the perfect smile, the perfect words, the perfect lady. But behind that, perfection was a girl longing for something real, something beyond her name, her title, and the expectations that caged her. "Lady Evelyn," her maid called softly, "the guests will arrive by noon." Evelyn nodded, but her thoughts drifted away to the old garden at the edge of the estate. There, rumors said, a woman once lived. A woman disfigured by fire, hidden from the world. She'd never seen her, but lately she could feel her presence. Every night when the wind whispered through the glass, it felt like someone was watching her from the shadows. And yet, Evelyn wasn't afraid. She was curious, drawn. That afternoon, she slipped away from her duties, her red gown brushing against the tall grass as she walked toward the abandoned greenhouse. The air smelled of dust and wilted roses. Then, a sound, a soft gasp. She froze. There, behind the cracked glass, stood a woman dressed in black, her face wrapped in bandages, only her eyes visible, eyes filled with sorrow and something deeper. Their gazes met. For a moment, time stopped. It was supposed to be fear that Evelyn felt, but instead, her heart raced for another reason she couldn't explain. The woman in black turned away, trembling, whispering a name Evelyn didn't recognize. "Clara," and in that name something awakened. A spark, a beginning, a love story born from secrets. The air inside the greenhouse was thick with silence. Dust floated lazily through the shafts of sunlight, landing on petals that had long forgotten what it meant to bloom. Evelyn took a hesitant step forward, her heart beat loud in her chest. The woman in black didn't move. Only her eyes flickered blue-gray and fragile, like stormy glass. "Wait," Evelyn whispered softly, afraid the sound of her voice might shatter the moment. "Please, don't go." The woman stiffened. "You shouldn't be here." Her voice was low, soft, but beneath it lay a tremor. Fear. Evelyn tilted her head, her curiosity outweighing caution. "Why? This garden belongs to my family. And yet I've never seen you before." Silence. Then, "I used to work here," the woman murmured. "A long time ago." Evelyn stepped closer, her gown brushing the floor. "Used to?" The woman turned slightly, keeping her bandaged face half hidden. "I was a maid. Before the fire." Evelyn's breath caught. "The fire." The woman nodded. "They said I should have died. Perhaps I did in every way that mattered." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Only the sound of wind slipping through the cracks filled the space between them. Evelyn wanted to say something, anything, but words felt too small for what she saw in the woman's eyes. Finally, Evelyn said softly, "You didn't die. You're here. You survived." The woman gave a sad smile beneath the bandages. Survival isn't always a blessing, my lady. Evelyn frowned, stepping closer. Don't call me that. Just Evelyn. The woman looked startled. That would be improper. Improper? Evelyn laughed lightly. And yet, here I am, talking to a stranger in an abandoned garden. I think we've already crossed that line. For the first time, the woman's eyes softened. You're different. Different? Most noble women wouldn't bother speaking to a ghost like me. Evelyn smiled gently. Maybe I've never liked being like most noble women. Their eyes met again, a quiet connection forming like a thread between them. What's your name? Evelyn asked. The woman hesitated, her gloved hands tightening around the edge of her sleeve. Clara. Clara. Evelyn repeated the name softly, as if testing its weight on her tongue. It's beautiful. Clara shook her head. Not anymore. It still is, Evelyn said firmly. Names don't lose their beauty. People just forget to see it. Clara looked away, her breath trembling. You shouldn't be kind to me. It'll only bring you trouble. Evelyn smiled faintly. I think I've lived too long without trouble. Clara blinked, unsure whether to be afraid or amused. You speak like someone who's never been hurt. Evelyn's eyes darkened. Maybe that's what everyone thinks. The two women stood there, caught in that fragile silence between curiosity and longing, between fear and something dangerously close to affection. Then, a voice echoed from the distance, the maid calling for Evelyn. Lady Evelyn! Your mother is looking for you. Evelyn turned toward the sound, then back at Clara. I have to go. But will you be here again tomorrow? Clara hesitated. Why would you want to see me? Evelyn smiled the kind of smile that carried warmth and promise. Because I want to know who you really are, Clara. Clara lowered her gaze. And if I'm not someone worth knowing? Evelyn took a step closer, her voice barely above a whisper. Then I'll decide that for myself. Clara looked up, meeting her eyes. There was a spark, brief but undeniable. Tomorrow, then, Evelyn said softly, backing away. Clara nodded, almost against her will. Tomorrow. As Evelyn disappeared into the sunlight, Clara pressed a trembling hand to her chest. For the first time in years, she could feel her heartbeat not from fear, but from something she had long forgotten, hope. The next morning arrived quietly. Dew clung to every leaf, and the roses glistened under the soft morning light. Evelyn sat by her window, staring at the path that led toward the abandoned greenhouse. She could still hear Clara's voice echoing in her head soft. Trembling, mysterious, her maid brushed her hair gently. You seem distracted today, my lady. Evelyn smiled faintly. Do I? Yes. You've been staring outside since dawn. Is something troubling you? Not troubling, Evelyn whispered. Just curious. The maid blinked, confused, but said nothing more. As soon as she left, Evelyn slipped into a simpler dress, not her usual crimson gown, but a soft cream one, something that didn't make her look so royal, so untouchable. When she reached the garden, Clara was already there. She stood by the broken window, her face still hidden beneath bandages, her black dress blending with the shadows. You came, Clara said softly. I said I would, Evelyn replied, smiling. I thought you might change your mind. Evelyn shook her head. You don't know me yet. Clara looked at her for a long time. No, but I'm starting to. Evelyn walked closer, her hands clasped in front of her. So tell me, Clara, why do you hide here? Why not leave? Start over? Clara hesitated. Because some scars don't fade when you leave a place. They follow you. Evelyn's voice softened. The fire. Did it hurt you badly? Clara glanced down. It took everything. My face, my work, my name. They said it was an accident. But I think it was a warning. A warning? Evelyn frowned. Clara nodded. Someone wanted me gone. Evelyn stepped closer, her curiosity deepening. Who would do that? Clara's eyes glimmered with pain. Someone I trusted. Evelyn's breath caught, but she didn't ask more. Instead, she said gently, You don't have to tell me everything now. I'll wait. Clara tilted her head. Why do you care, Evelyn? Evelyn smiled sadly. Because for once in my life, someone is real with me. You speak honestly even when it hurts. I've lived surrounded by lies disguised as kindness. I'd rather be with someone who has nothing to hide. Clara turned away, her gloved fingers tracing the cracks on the glass. If you knew the truth, you might think differently. Evelyn took another step forward, her voice barely a whisper. Then tell me anyway. Let me see what's behind those bandages. Clara froze. No. Evelyn stopped, realizing the fear in her voice. I'm sorry. I didn't mean... Clara shook her head. It's not anger. It's shame. Evelyn's heart ached. Clara, you don't have to hide from me. Clara laughed softly, a sound filled with sadness. That's easy for you to say. You've never had people scream when they see your face. Evelyn took a trembling step forward. Then maybe it's time someone looked at you and didn't scream. Clara stared at her, stunned, speechless. Why are you like this? She whispered. You don't even know me. Maybe I don't, Evelyn said softly. But every time I look at you, I feel like I've known you my whole life. Clara's breath hitched. You shouldn't say things like that. Why not? Evelyn asked, her tone daring but gentle. Because I might start believing them. The silence that followed was thick with something unspoken, fragile. Tender, dangerous. Evelyn reached out slowly, her fingers trembling as she brushed against Clara's gloved hand. Then believe it. Clara froze, her entire body tense. No one had touched her since the fire, not even out of kindness. And yet this woman, this noble woman, who had every reason to stay away, was holding her hand as if it meant something. I shouldn't be here, Clara whispered. Then why are you? Evelyn asked softly. Clara looked into her eyes, and the truth slipped out before she could stop it. Because you make me feel alive again. Evelyn's lips parted in surprise, but before she could speak, Clara pulled away and turned toward the door. I shouldn't have said that. Evelyn caught her wrist gently. Don't apologize for feeling. Clara shook her head, tears hidden beneath her bandages. People like us don't get to feel. We survive. That's all. Then maybe I want to change that, Evelyn said. For both of us. Clara turned back, her voice breaking. You can't save me. Evelyn smiled faintly, her eyes soft but determined. Then let me try. The air between them pulsed with emotion, confusion, longing, fear all tangled together like the vines crawling up the glass walls. For a moment, Clara wanted to stay, but her instincts screamed for distance. so she whispered one last word before leaving. "Tomorrow." And she was gone, leaving Evelyn standing amidst the dying roses, her heart racing, her soul whispering a single thought: tomorrow can't come soon enough. The rain fell softly that evening, tapping against the windows like a secret being whispered to the night. Evelyn stood at her window again, staring into the gray sky. The world seemed quieter now, gentler, because somewhere in that silence, Clara existed. All day Evelyn had thought of her. The way she spoke, her trembling voice, her eyes that carried both pain and peace. Every moment in that greenhouse replayed in her mind like a dream she didn't want to wake from. When the rain began to fade, she decided, no more waiting. She grabbed her cloak and slipped out of the manor, ignoring the voices calling after her. Her shoes sank into the wet earth as she followed the path to the garden, the air thick with the scent of rain and roses. Inside the greenhouse, Clara stood by the window, watching the drops slide down the cracked glass. Her shoulders were tense, her gloved hands clasped together. "You came," she said quietly without turning around. "I told you I would," Evelyn replied, stepping closer. Clara sighed. "You shouldn't be here. Your family will notice." Evelyn chuckled softly. "Let them. For once I'll do something for myself." Clara finally turned to face her. "You shouldn't risk your name for someone like me." Evelyn's voice softened. "Then tell me what makes someone like you." Clara looked away. Broken, unwanted, a mistake that should have burned away years ago. Evelyn frowned, stepping closer until she could almost touch her. "Don't say that." "It's true," Clara whispered. "You've seen the bandages. You know what I am." "I know what you think you are," Evelyn said gently. "But I don't believe it." Clara's breath shook. "Evelyn, please, don't make me hope for something I can't have." "And what is that?" Evelyn asked softly. Clara hesitated. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Kindness, warmth, you." Evelyn's heart stuttered in her chest. "Then you already have it." Clara blinked, stunned. "You don't mean that." Evelyn smiled faintly. "I've never meant anything more." For a long moment they stood in silence, the rain outside now just a whisper. Evelyn reached out slowly, her hand trembling as she touched Clara's gloved hand. "Clara, let me see you," she said softly. Clara froze. "No, please," Evelyn whispered. "Not because I'm curious, because I want you to stop hiding from me." Clara's voice trembled. "If I take these off, you'll see what I've become." Evelyn shook her head. "No, I'll see who you've always been." The words lingered in the air like a prayer. Clara's fingers twitched against her gloves. She wanted to believe her. God, she wanted to. Slowly, painfully, she began to unwind the bandages from her face. The fabric was damp with rain, soft against her trembling hands. Evelyn held her breath as each layer fell away. When the final piece slipped to the ground, Clara turned her face away. "Don't look," she whispered. But Evelyn did. Her heart clenched, not from horror, but from sorrow. The scars were there, yes. They traced across Clara's cheek and temple like rivers of pain. But beneath them, Evelyn saw something far more beautiful. Strength. She took a careful step forward. "Clara," Clara flinched. "Now you see. Hideous, isn't it?" Evelyn shook her head, her eyes glistening. "It's honest." Clara blinked. "What?" "It's the truth," Evelyn said softly. "And I think it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." Tears welled in Clara's eyes. You don't have to comfort me." "I'm not," Evelyn whispered. "I'm telling you what I feel." Evelyn lifted her hand, hovering for a moment before gently touching Clara's cheek. Clara gasped, every muscle in her body stiffening. "You shouldn't touch me." "Why not?" Evelyn interrupted. "Because of scars. Because someone told you you're unworthy of love?" Clara's voice broke. "Because I believed them." Evelyn's thumb brushed against her skin, soft and trembling. "Then let me make you believe something new." Clara's breath hitched, her eyes closing as Evelyn's hand lingered against her face. The warmth of that touch felt foreign, like sunlight breaking through years of darkness. "Evelyn," Clara whispered. "Why are you doing this?" Evelyn smiled faintly. "Because I can't stop thinking about you." Clara laughed weakly, tears falling. "You're a fool." "Maybe," Evelyn said, her voice soft as a sigh. "But maybe love makes fools of us all." For the first time in years, Clara smiled, a fragile, trembling thing that made Evelyn's heart ache with affection. The rain outside stopped. Inside the greenhouse, two women stood in silence, surrounded by the scent of wet roses and the sound of their own breathing. It wasn't a confession yet, but it was close. So very close. The world outside had gone quiet after the rain. The night air carried the faint scent of jasmine, and the moonlight poured through the glass ceiling like liquid silver. Evelyn and Clara stood facing each other, the space between them fragile and sacred. The bandages lay on the floor, forgotten, and for the first time, Clara didn't reach for them. Evelyn's voice broke the silence. "Clara, tell me what really happened." "About the fire." Clara's eyes darkened. "You wouldn't want to know." "I do," Evelyn whispered. "Because I think it's the reason you've been hiding not just your face, but your heart." Clara hesitated. Her breath came unevenly. "It was years ago, before you were even old enough to remember." Evelyn nodded, waiting. "I worked here," Clara began. "I was a maid, a servant to the Beaumont family. I cleaned the halls, polished silver, carried letters. I lived in the shadows, but I didn't mind. Because there was someone who saw me." Evelyn frowned gently. "Who?" Clara smiled sadly. "Your mother." Evelyn's heart skipped. "My mother?" "She was kind," Clara said softly. "Too kind. She treated me like I was someone, not something. And for that, others began to hate me. Especially one person." Clara's voice faltered. Evelyn's hands clenched. "Who?" Clara looked up, her eyes filled with old pain. "Your father." Evelyn felt her chest tighten. "My father?" He had a way of looking at people," Clara whispered. "A way that made you feel both special and afraid. He started visiting the servants' quarters, talking to me, offering me things, a better position, a future. I was young, foolish. I believed his words." Evelyn took a shaky breath. Did he hurt you?" Clara turned away, her voice trembling. "When I refused him, he called me ungrateful. He said I would regret it." 2 nights later, the fire began in my room. Evelyn's eyes widened, horror washing over her. "He tried to kill you." Clara nodded slowly. I woke up to the smell of smoke. Everything burned. My face, my hands, my name. I escaped through the greenhouse window. Everyone thought I died. Evelyn's voice cracked. And you've been here all this time? Clara nodded faintly. Hiding. Watching this house from afar. I couldn't leave. Not when everything I ever was burned inside these walls. Evelyn stepped closer, tears glimmering in her eyes. You shouldn't have had to go through that alone. Clara smiled weakly. It's strange, isn't it? I thought the fire took everything from me. But somehow, you found me in its ashes. Evelyn reached for her hand. Clara, if what you're saying is true, then my father is a dangerous man, Clara interrupted quietly. And if he finds out I'm still alive, he won't make the same mistake twice. Evelyn shook her head. Then we'll protect you. Clara's lips parted in disbelief. We? Yes, Evelyn said firmly. You're not alone anymore. Not while I'm here. Clara's eyes softened, full of emotion she couldn't name. You shouldn't care this much. It'll only destroy you. Maybe, Evelyn said softly. But I'd rather be destroyed by the truth than live in comfort built on lies. Clara stared at her, speechless. No one had ever spoken like that to her before. No one had ever chosen her over fear. Evelyn, she whispered, her voice breaking. You don't know what you're doing. Evelyn smiled faintly. Then I'll let love be my mistake. Clara's breath caught. For the first time, she couldn't find the strength to pull away. Evelyn's hand slipped into hers, warm, trembling, and real. I want you to stay, Evelyn whispered. Here, in the manor. Clara shook her head quickly. No, if they see me, they won't, Evelyn said. There's a room at the back of the library. No one goes there anymore. You can stay there until we figure out what to do. Clara looked at her in disbelief. You'd risk your family's wrath for me? Evelyn smiled. For you? I already have. The silence that followed was thick with something dangerous and beautiful. Then Clara nodded, her voice trembling. All right. One night. Evelyn's lips curved into a soft smile. One night is all I need to change your mind. Clara laughed quietly, her voice still heavy with sadness. You're impossible. Evelyn grinned. So are you. They both laughed softly, and for the first time, Clara's laughter sounded alive like music, breaking through the ruins of her heart. Outside, the moon shone through the cracked glass, casting light over their faces, one unscarred, one marked by fire, but in that moment, both equally beautiful. And as Evelyn led Clara out of the greenhouse toward the manor, the night wind carried the faint whisper of something dangerous and tender. Love was no longer a secret. It was a promise waiting to be kept. The manor slept in silence. The long corridors were lit only by the flicker of dying candles. Evelyn walked carefully, holding a lantern in one hand and guiding Clara with the other. Stay close, Evelyn whispered, glancing back. Clara nodded, her steps soundless on the marble floor. Her cloak was pulled tightly around her, hood covering her face. Every shadow made her flinch, every creak made her stop. I shouldn't be here, Clara murmured. You said that yesterday, Evelyn replied softly, smiling despite the danger. And yet you're still here. That's because you don't listen, Clara said, her tone half scolding, half teasing. Evelyn turned, grinning faintly. Maybe that's because you don't say no loudly enough. Clara rolled her eyes beneath her hood, but the smallest smile ghosted her lips. They stopped at the end of the hallway. Evelyn pushed open an old oak door, its hinges creaking. The smell of forgotten pages and dust filled the air. "This is it," Evelyn whispered. "The old library chamber. My mother used to come here to write letters. No one visits anymore." Clara stepped inside, the dim light of the lantern revealing rows of old books, faded portraits, and a window covered in ivy. "It's beautiful," she said quietly. "Like time forgot about it." "Exactly," Evelyn said. "Which means you're safe here." Clara turned toward her. "You shouldn't do this for me. If your father finds out—" "I don't care," Evelyn interrupted gently. "He's already taken enough from you. I won't let him take you again." Clara's breath trembled. "You speak like love is stronger than fear." Evelyn met her gaze. "Maybe it is." They stood there for a moment, the air between them warm and heavy. Clara's guard began to crumble, replaced by something fragile and new trust. Evelyn placed the lantern on the table. "I brought some blankets. And food. It's not much, but—" Clara caught her wrist gently. "You didn't have to." Evelyn smiled softly. "I wanted to." Their eyes met, two souls standing in the quiet middle of danger. Evelyn's hand lingered a little too long in Clara's. "I'll check on you every night," Evelyn said. "Bring you anything you need." Clara shook her head. "You're making this sound like I'm some secret you have to protect." Evelyn hesitated, her voice barely a whisper. "Maybe you are." Clara blinked. "A secret?" Evelyn nodded slowly. "A precious one." Clara looked away quickly, her heart pounding. "You don't know what you're saying." "I do," Evelyn said softly. "I've never been more certain of anything." The silence that followed was electric. Clara turned toward the window, unable to face the warmth in Evelyn's eyes. "I used to dream about this place," Clara murmured. "When I was younger, I used to think if I could just step inside one of these rooms, maybe I'd matter." Evelyn's voice softened. "You matter now." Clara's throat tightened. "You shouldn't say things like that." "Why?" "Because I might start to believe you." Evelyn stepped closer, her voice barely a whisper. "Then believe me." Clara turned, and for the first time she didn't hide behind fear or shame. Her eyes were filled with tears, but she didn't look away. "Evelyn," she whispered, "you'll ruin yourself if anyone finds out about me." Evelyn smiled faintly. "Then ruin me." Clara's breath caught. "You don't mean that." "I do," Evelyn said, her tone firm. "Because for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm living for something real." "For you." Clara shook her head weakly, but a tear slipped down her cheek. Evelyn reached up, brushing it away with her thumb. Neither of them spoke. The only sound was the faint hum of the rain starting again outside. Evelyn's hand lingered on Clara's face. Clara leaned into her touch, hesitant, trembling, but unable to stop herself. For a long moment they stood like that. Two women in a forgotten room, breathing the same fragile air, daring to believe that love could exist in silence. Then Evelyn whispered, "Rest now. You're safe here." Clara nodded, her eyes still locked on Evelyn's. "Good night." Evelyn hesitated by the door. "Good night, Clara." As Evelyn left, closing the door softly behind her, Clara sat by the window, watching the lantern light flicker. For years, she had lived surrounded by darkness. Now, for the first time, she saw a light and it had a name: Evelyn. The morning light poured gently through Evelyn's window, the air still cold from the night's rain. Her crimson gown hung by the bedside, slightly damp from her visit to the greenhouse. She couldn't sleep, not after what Clara had said. Someone who wasn't meant to live in your world. Those words echoed in her mind. Evelyn turned toward her vanity, where a small box of old belongings sat the one she'd found in the greenhouse weeks ago, half buried under dust and wilted petals. She hadn't opened it before. But now her curiosity burned stronger than fear. Her fingers trembled as she lifted the lid. Inside lay a small notebook, a locket, and an old letter sealed with wax bearing her family's crest. Her heart stopped. She broke the seal carefully and unfolded the parchment. The ink was smudged, but the words were still clear. To the one I owe my life. I cannot forget the fire that took you from me. If fate allows, may you forgive what my family has done. A.B. E.B.? Her own initials. But the letter was written years before she was even born. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. "What is this?" she whispered, her hands trembling. The door creaked softly. Clara stood there, her face hidden beneath her hood, her eyes unreadable. "I didn't mean to startle you," she said quietly. "I saw the light." Evelyn hid the letter behind her back, her voice unsteady. "You knew about this, didn't you?" Clara's silence said everything. "You knew," Evelyn pressed, her tone cracking. "You've been hiding something from me." Clara stepped closer, her eyes dark and sorrowful. "There are things about your family you don't want to know." "Try me," Evelyn snapped, her voice rising with emotion. "Because I'm tired of living in a house full of ghosts." The room went still. The only sound was the faint patter of raindrops outside. Finally, Clara spoke, her voice almost breaking. "There was a fire years ago. It destroyed my home. My mother was trapped inside. Your father, Lord Beaumont, ordered his men to burn the land. He thought we were thieves." Evelyn's eyes widened. "That's not true." Clara gave a bitter laugh, tears glimmering behind her lashes. "It is, and I was there. I watched everything burn. I should have died with her." Her hands trembled as she lifted the edge of her hood, revealing a faint scar that ran from her cheek to her jaw. "This," she whispered, "is what your name cost me." Evelyn's throat tightened. She wanted to speak, to deny it, but the pain in Clara's eyes said otherwise. The world she thought she knew began to crumble. "Clara," she breathed, her voice softening, "if what you say is true, then let me make it right." Clara shook her head. "You can't fix the past. You can't change what your blood has done." Evelyn reached for her hand, desperate. "Then let me start with you. Let me try to love you enough to heal what they broke." Clara froze. Her chest rose and fell unevenly, eyes darting between Evelyn's trembling hand and her tear-streaked face. "You don't understand," she whispered. "Loving me means choosing pain. It means turning against everything you've ever known." Evelyn stepped closer until their foreheads almost touched. Her voice trembled, but her words were firm. "Then let it hurt. I'd rather feel pain with you than live a lie without you." Clara's breath hitched. For a moment she forgot the fire, the scars, the guilt. She only saw the girl before her, fragile, determined, and foolishly brave. She cupped Evelyn's cheek gently, her fingers brushing away a tear. "You shouldn't have found me." "But I did," Evelyn whispered. and now I can't let go." Their lips hovered close, breath mingling, hearts trembling. But before either could move, a loud knock broke the silence. "Lady Evelyn," a voice called from the hallway. "Your father requests your presence in the study." They both froze. Evelyn turned toward the door, panic flashing across her face. Clara pulled back, stepping into the shadowed corner. "Go," she whispered. "He mustn't see me." Evelyn hesitated, her heart aching. "I'll come back tonight." Clara's voice softened to a whisper. "You always do." As Evelyn left the room, the letter on the table fluttered. In the breeze, its last line glowing, faintly in the candlelight. "If fate allows, may you forgive what my family has done." And somewhere deep inside her, Clara wondered if forgiveness was ever meant for people like them. The sound of Evelyn's footsteps echoed through the marble hallway. Every step felt heavier, as if she were walking toward the edge of something she could never return from. The letter was still warm in her pocket, her pulse beating hard beneath it. When she reached the study, her father was seated behind his oak desk, a glass of whiskey beside a pile of ledgers. The room smelled of wood smoke and age, the curtains drawn to keep out the gray morning light. "Father," she said quietly. He looked up, his gray eyes sharp. "Evelyn, you're awake early. Sit." She obeyed, though her heart trembled. Her gaze fell to a small brass box on his desk, the same kind that had held the letter in her room. "I found something," she began. Her father raised a brow. "Something?" "A letter. With our family's seal. It spoke of a fire." He stilled. The clock ticked once, twice. Then he leaned back slowly, swirling the whiskey in his glass. "Where did you find it?" "In the old greenhouse," she said. "Near the west garden." A shadow passed over his face. "You shouldn't go there." "Why not?" Her voice cracked, her fear mixing with anger. "Because it hides the truth?" His tone hardened. "You don't understand what you're talking about." She stood unable to contain it anymore. "Then help me understand. Did you burn that house? Did you kill those people?" The silence that followed was unbearable. Her father set the glass down, eyes cold as stone. "It was an order given long ago. The land belonged to us. The squatters refused to leave." Her stomach twisted. "Squatters? They were a family. They were thieves," he snapped. "They stole from us, defied the Beaumont name. I did what was necessary." Evelyn's voice fell to a whisper. "Necessary? You burned them alive." His expression didn't change. "Don't speak like a child. You know nothing of duty." She stepped back, tears stinging her eyes. "If duty means becoming a monster, then I'd rather be a disgrace." Her father rose slowly, his voice low but sharp. "Do not forget who you are." She met his gaze, trembling but defiant. "Maybe I'm starting to learn who I am finally." The air between them was cold and poisonous. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Evelyn turned toward the door. "Where are you going?" he demanded. She didn't look back. "To find the truth, the kind that doesn't hide behind your name." The rain had stopped when she stepped outside. The world was gray and quiet, the sky heavy with clouds. She clutched the letter tightly, the ink smudged by her tears. By the time she reached the greenhouse, Clara was waiting, standing by the broken window, her coat still wet from the earlier storm. Evelyn stopped a few steps away. Her voice trembled. "You were right." Clara's eyes lifted slowly. "About what?" "My father. The fire. Everything." Clara's breath caught. She turned her face away, as if hearing the truth hurt more than she'd imagined. "I didn't want you to find out like this." Evelyn shook her head, tears falling freely now. "You should have told me." "I couldn't," Clara whispered. "I wanted to hate you, but every time I saw you, I forgot how." Evelyn moved closer, her hands trembling. "Then stop trying to hate me." Clara laughed bitterly, tears spilling down her cheeks. "It's not that simple." "It is for me," Evelyn said, "because I already made my choice." Clara's voice broke. "And what choice is that?" Evelyn reached up, gently touching Clara's cheek, her fingers brushing the edge of her scar. "To love you, even if it means losing everything else." Clara froze, her breath shaking. For a long moment she said nothing. Then finally she closed her eyes and leaned into Evelyn's touch. "You're foolish," she whispered. "I know," Evelyn breathed, "but I'm yours." Their foreheads touched, the world holding its breath, and somewhere in the silence, something shifted. Not forgiveness, not yet, but the fragile beginning of it. That night, while the estate slept, Evelyn wrote a letter of her own. "To the one my family wronged, if fate once destroyed us, may love rebuild what's left." Evelyn! She sealed it with her initials, EB, just as the one she found before. And as the candlelight flickered against the glass, she whispered Clara's name like a promise she intended to keep, no matter the cost. The night air was cold enough to bite. The moon hung low above the garden, turning every rose petal into silver. Evelyn stood by the greenhouse, the letter still warm in her hand. Her chest ached not just from grief, but from the strange, dangerous calm that had settled inside her. She had made her choice, and choices always came with fire. When she returned to the manor, the halls were silent. The chandeliers were dim, the servants already asleep. But as she passed the east corridor, a soft light glowed beneath the study door. She froze. Her mother's voice drifted faintly through the wood, quiet, sharp, urgent. "She knows, doesn't she?" Evelyn pressed her ear against the door. Her father's reply was low but cold. "Of course she does." She found the letter. Her mother sighed. "You should have burned everything years ago." "She was never meant to see it," he muttered. "Not after what happened to..." The sound of glass shattering cut him off. Evelyn jumped back, heart racing. The door creaked open slightly, and her mother's silhouette appeared tall, graceful, wrapped in silk. "Evelyn?" Evelyn stiffened. "Mother?" Her mother's eyes darkened. "How long have you been listening?" "Long enough," Evelyn whispered. "Long enough to know that you both lied to me." Her father rose from his chair, his face hard. "Go back to your room." "No," Evelyn's voice shook. "You burned that family alive. You destroyed Clara's home." Her mother's face drained of color at the name. "Clara?" Evelyn's heart stumbled. "You know her?" For a moment, silence filled the air, thick and heavy. Then her mother sat down slowly, her hands trembling. "She was my friend," she said. "Before the fire. Before everything." Evelyn could barely breathe. "Your friend?" "She was my maid's daughter," her mother continued. "She used to follow me around the gardens, bringing me wildflowers. I taught her to read, to write. She wanted to be an artist. Her voice broke on the last word. What happened? Evelyn whispered. Her mother's gaze fell to the floor. Your father found out about the letters we exchanged. He said it was improper, that I was giving too much attention to a servant's child. When I tried to defend her, he took it as betrayal. He ordered the land cleared. Her voice trembled now, almost a whisper. I thought she died that night. Evelyn stepped forward, her throat tight. She didn't. She's alive. Her mother's eyes widened, tears welling. Alive? Evelyn nodded slowly. Scarred, alone, but alive. Her mother covered her mouth with trembling fingers. Oh God. Her father stood motionless behind the desk, his expression unreadable. That woman should have stayed dead. The words sliced through the air like a blade. Evelyn's voice rose, sharp with fury. How can you say that? Because she's dangerous, he growled. You don't understand who she truly is. Then tell me. He hesitated. For a moment, the mask slipped. She's not just a survivor, Evelyn. She's the reason your mother almost left this family. Evelyn turned to her mother, stunned. Is that true? Her mother's tears fell freely now. It was never romantic. Not the way you think. But she made me feel free. She made me remember who I was before the title, before the name Beaumont. Her voice softened, trembling with guilt. I tried to protect her, but I failed. The room fell silent again. Only the faint crackle of the fireplace remained. Finally, Evelyn whispered, Then maybe it's my turn to protect her. Her father slammed his fist on the desk. If you go back to her, don't come back here. The words echoed through the manor like a curse. Evelyn stood tall, her eyes burning. Then consider this my last night as a Beaumont. She turned, her gown sweeping across the floor as she left the room. Behind her, her mother's sobs filled the silence, and her father's anger burned like the fire that started it all. Outside, the night air stung her cheeks. She walked barefoot across the wet grass, the moonlight guiding her steps. When she reached the greenhouse, Clara was there waiting, as if she already knew. Evelyn stopped at the doorway, breathless. I told them. Clara's eyes widened. You what? I told them I know about the fire, about you, about everything. Clara took a slow step forward, her face pale. And what did they say? Evelyn swallowed hard. They told me never to come back. The words hung in the air between them, fragile and final. Clara's voice softened. So you came here instead? I always would, Evelyn said, her voice breaking. You're the only thing that feels real to me. Clara stared at her for a long time, her expression unreadable. Then slowly, she reached out and brushed the rain from Evelyn's cheek. You're trembling, she whispered. I'm not afraid, Evelyn replied. Yes, you are, Clara said gently. But you came anyway. Evelyn smiled faintly through her tears. I told you, I'd rather hurt with you than live without you. Clara's hands trembled as she cupped Evelyn's face, drawing her close. You're going to ruin yourself for me? Maybe, Evelyn breathed. But at least I'll know what love feels like. And then, for the first time, Clara kissed her. It was slow, hesitant, like something fragile finally breaking free. The world outside fell away. The moon, the roses, the silence. All that remained was the warmth of that single stolen moment. When they finally pulled apart, Evelyn rested her forehead against Clara's. "Whatever comes next," she whispered. "We face it together." Clara's eyes glistened in the dark. Together, then. And in that promise, two hearts once bound by ashes found a spark that refused to die. The morning after the storm, the Beaumont estate stood eerily quiet. Dew shimmered across the roses Evelyn once adored, but the garden no longer felt peaceful. Every step toward the manor carried the weight of a secret that could ruin her life. When she reached her study, she froze. Her desk where she had hidden Clara's letters was open. The drawer where she had placed the one sealed with her father's crest was empty. Her heart sank. She tore through every shelf, every pile of books. Nothing. The letter that proved her father's guilt was gone. A soft knock broke the silence. "My lady?" It was Mara, her maid and childhood friend. Evelyn forced her voice steady. "Yes?" Mara entered, eyes darting nervously. "Your father has been asking for you. He seems unsettled." Evelyn nodded, trying not to show the panic that clawed inside her. "Tell him I'll be down shortly." When Mara left, Evelyn leaned against the desk, trembling. Someone knows. She hurried to the garden, to the secret path that led to Clara's greenhouse. But when she arrived, the door was ajar. The fire had gone cold. Clara's coat was missing. "Clara?" Evelyn whispered. "Clara." No answer. Only the faint creak of the wind through the glass. On the table, she found something. A single folded paper, slightly damp from the rain. Her hands shook as she opened it. "Evelyn, someone came here last night after you left. I heard them say your name. You mustn't come looking for me. If your father knows, he will destroy us both. Don't follow me." The paper slipped from Evelyn's hands as her vision blurred with tears. "No," she breathed. "Not again." She ran out into the rain-drenched field, her shoes sinking into the mud, calling Clara's name. Only the echo answered. That night the manor was alive with whispers. Servants moved like shadows, and the lord of the house called for Evelyn with a voice that brooked no delay. She entered his study. Lord Beaumont stood by the window, the fire casting deep lines on his face. "You've been meeting with her," he said, not turning around. Evelyn froze. "Who?" "You know who." His tone was sharp as a blade. "The woman from the ashes. The one our family was supposed to forget." Her father turned, holding the missing letter in his hand. "You found this," he said quietly. "You've been digging where you shouldn't." Evelyn's chest tightened. "So it's true then. You ordered it." His expression hardened. "It was a business decision. You're too young to understand what it means to protect this family." "Protect?" Evelyn's voice broke. "You destroyed hers. You burned their home, their lives, and you expect me to stay silent?" Lord Beaumont's eyes darkened. "You will do as you're told. Whatever this fascination is with that girl, it ends now. Do you hear me?" But Evelyn didn't answer. She just stood there, tears burning in her eyes. "I can't." Her father slammed his hand on the desk. "If you walk out that door, Evelyn, you are no longer my daughter." For a moment, the world seemed to stop. Then Evelyn whispered, "Then I was never yours to begin with." She turned and ran out of the study, through the halls, past the guards calling her name until the gates of Beaumont. Manor disappeared behind her. And somewhere in the distance, through the mist and the rain, a faint light flickered inside the woods. She ran toward it. The night air was sharp against Evelyn's lungs as she ran through the forest, her gown heavy with mud and rain. Every branch she brushed past felt like a whisper urging her to stop, but her heart refused. Somewhere beyond the trees, a faint light flickered. She followed it, breath ragged, her shoes soaked through. The light grew stronger, revealing the small clearing that held Clara's greenhouse. But when Evelyn emerged from the trees, her heart froze. The glow wasn't from the lantern, it was from flames. Smoke curled into the dark sky as fire devoured the edges of the glass walls. The same hellish light that once destroyed. Clara's world now blazed again before Evelyn's eyes. "Clara!" She screamed, rushing forward. She pushed through the smoke, covering her face with her sleeve. Inside, everything was chaos flowers burning. Shelves collapsing, glass shattering like screams. "Clara!" she cried again. "Where are you?" A voice answered from behind the fallen beam. "Evelyn!" Clara's silhouette appeared through the smoke, coughing, her arm bleeding. Evelyn sprinted to her, pulling her away from the collapsing frame. "Come on, we have to go." But Clara resisted, shaking her head. "No, there's something I have to take." Evelyn grabbed her wrist. "Nothing is worth your life." Clara's eyes filled with tears as she pulled free. "It's the last thing I have left of them, my family's journal." Without thinking, Evelyn ran toward the burning table Clara had pointed to. Flames bit at her skin, her vision blurring, but she grabbed the half-burned journal and turned back. "Go!" she shouted. They stumbled out just as the roof gave way, the sound splitting the night like thunder. The explosion of heat threw them both into the mud. Evelyn shielded Clara with her body as shards of glass rained down around them. When the noise faded, only the crackle of dying fire remained. The greenhouse their place was gone. Evelyn lay beside Clara, both of them trembling, faces streaked with soot. She turned to her, brushing ash from her cheek. "It's over," Evelyn whispered, breathless. Clara looked at her, eyes wide and wet. "It's happening again. First my home, now this. Everywhere I go, everything burns." Evelyn cupped her face, forcing her to look at her. "No, not this time. We'll survive this, together." Tears spilled down Clara's cheeks as she pressed her forehead against Evelyn's. "You shouldn't have come for me." "I'll always come for you," Evelyn whispered back. They stayed like that, the night air cooling the embers around them, and in the distance, the faint sound of hooves echoed guards from the Beaumont estate searching. Clara tensed. "They're coming for you." "Then we run," Evelyn said, gripping her hand tightly. For the first time, Clara didn't argue. She just nodded. And as dawn began to break through the smoke, two women ran toward the unknown hands entwined, hearts burning brighter than the fire they left behind. The road to Havenmore had been long, cruel, and quiet. Days bled into nights spent beneath cold skies and borrowed stars. Evelyn's silken gowns had turned to rags. Her once polished hands blistered and bruised. Yet for the first time in her life, she felt alive. Clara walked beside her, cloak pulled tight, her face still marked by the faint soot of the fire that destroyed. everything they once called home. And yet when she looked at Evelyn, her eyes softened as if all the ruin around them meant nothing compared to this quiet defiance they shared. When the distant bells of Havenmore rang, echoing across the valley, Evelyn whispered, "We made it." Clara smiled faintly. "Did we?" They crossed the wooden bridge into the small mist-covered town. No guards, no titles, no one to call Evelyn Lady Beaumont, or to whisper scarred witch behind Clara's back. Here they were nameless free. Inside a small cottage near the cliffs, they built a new beginning. Days were spent tending the garden. Nights by the hearth talking, laughing, existing. For a while the world outside didn't matter. But peace, Evelyn learned, was fragile. One evening, while gathering firewood, she saw a figure by the path, one of her father's men. A dark horse tethered nearby. Her heart stilled. She ran inside. "Clara," she whispered, "we have to go. They've found us." Clara's eyes filled with quiet dread, but she shook her head. "No, we've been running for too long. It has to end." "Clara?" "No," she said, stepping closer, placing her hand on Evelyn's cheek. "If they take me, promise me you won't come after them. Promise me you'll live." Evelyn's throat tightened. "Don't ask me that." "I am," Clara whispered. "Because if we keep running, we'll never be free. And I want you to be free, Evelyn, even if it's not with me." Before Evelyn could protest, the door burst open. Men flooded in, torches and rifles in hand. Clara pushed Evelyn behind her. "Don't hurt her!" Evelyn screamed. The leader stepped forward. "Our orders are to bring her back. The Lord wants her alive." Clara turned to Evelyn, tears gleaming like glass. "You have to go." Evelyn shook her head violently. "I won't leave you." Then, in a single desperate heartbeat, Clara kissed her. Hard, final, a promise and goodbye woven into one. When the soldiers rushed forward, Clara threw a lantern into the firewood stack. Flames erupted again. The cottage filled with smoke and chaos. Evelyn screamed her name, but the world dissolved into fire and ash. When the smoke cleared, the cottage was gone. They found no body, only a half-burned journal among the ashes, its last page untouched. Love does not ask to be remembered. It only asks to be true, even in the end. Years passed. The Beaumont name fell into ruin after Lord Beaumont's death, and in the quiet town of Havenmore, a woman in a gray cloak was often seen by the cliffs, tending white lilies that grew by the edge. No one knew her name, but sometimes when the sea wind was gentle, she would whisper to the horizon, "You said you'd always come for me." And when the dawn rose over the water, painting the sky golden rose, she could almost swear she heard a voice answer, soft as memory, "I never stopped." Some loves are never meant to be understood, only felt. Evelyn and Clara's story reminds us that love, no matter how forbidden or fragile, will always find a way to leave its mark not in the world's memory, but in the soul of the one who dared to love completely. Even when the fire takes everything, love remains quietly, endlessly, waiting at the edge of dawn.